Hi guys, NATO here. I am standing on the Pentacrest in Iowa City, Iowa. Iowa City, Iowa was the third territorial capital of Iowa, and it was the first official state capital in the state of Iowa. As you can see, this building is quite beautiful. Iowa City was founded in 1839 because the Governor Lucas, who was the governor of Iowa at the time, wanted to move the capital more into the center of the density of the population, so that it was easier for people in the state of Iowa to get to the state capital, which is kind of a running theme throughout Iowa history. Is the capital of the counties and the state was always supposed to be meant to be in the center of the population density, so that everyone was equal distance to the state capital. This building behind me was built. They started building it in 1840. In fact, the cornerstone of the building was laid on July 4th in 1840. It was completed in 1842, and the territorial capital legislative body met here until Iowa became a state in 1845. What happened after that was that it became obviously a state. Then the state legislature, oddly enough, the first couple of years, they tried to move the capital back down south. The problem was that the population density of Iowa had grown out of the southeastern corner of the state. And so the legislature here actually chopped off the top two rows of counties in Iowa and gave them to Minnesota so they would have a chance to move the capital back down further south. Muscatine was actually one of the candidates for that, which isn't all that actually far from Iowa City, but it seemed that the majority of the population wanted the capital to be moved further down south, but that didn't work. The capital ended up moving further west in 1857 to Des Moines, Iowa, because the population of all the states started to move further and further west as westward expansion continued. Iowa was part of the Louisiana Purchase, and it was founded along the Iowa River. They say, Iowa City, Iowa, which where the University of Iowa was along the Iowa River, that all of our creativity went into our name. So that's an interesting T-shirt I've seen people wear around. The state ended up donating the building to the University of Iowa as the state capital moved to Des Moines, and this building served as the law school. It served as the administrative building. It served as a lot of things. Now it's a museum that people can come into. I believe it's still free. The dome on the old capitol is gold because it was actually a requirement for all state capitals to have a golden dome for the first, I think it was the first 60 or 70 years of the country. You had to have, all state capitals had to have a golden dome. Some interesting things about the University of Iowa is that the Iowa City and the University of Iowa City, Iowa had the first female mayor west of the Mississippi. The University of Iowa was the first university to enroll women as equals. And I think that's throughout the entire country. I think that's east or west of Mississippi. University of Iowa was the first to enroll women as equals. Iowa City is the capital of, is the county seat of Johnson County. Johnson County was named after the 9th Vice President of the United States. Really interesting thing about Vice President Johnson is that he did have, he was from Kentucky. He did own slaves, I believe, but I think he was one of the ones he wasn't an avid slave owner, but I think he did own a few slaves in his life. The really interesting thing about him is that the people who he did or did not have slaves, they weren't considered to be slaves by him. So I think that's one of the disputing facts. Did he or did he not own slaves? Because they were pretty much free to come and go as they want. So that's kind of hard to determine if they were technically slaves, because they were able to leave and come and go. He did have children out of wedlock, but he gave them all his last name. So for Game of Thrones people out there, people who were bastard children were known as sand or snow, or because they weren't technically viable to own land or anything like that. Well, Vice President Johnson gave everyone his last name, so they were proper children and could hold all the proper offices and the etiquette of the day. The University of Iowa is a Research One institution. It's got one of the best schools, if not the best school in cardio research, and it's got the law school is routinely in the top 25 law schools in the country. The University of Iowa is one of the best college universities in the country. It's got it's just a brilliant campus. Actually, I've lived here for a number of years, but Iowa City has always had this kind of awe about it. The Pentecrest, which is the anchoring buildings around the old Capitol here, were all built at the turn of the 20th century. In fact, they all bear the Schaefer Hall is named after one of the college universities, and then McBride is also named after one of the university presidents, the presidents of the university. The University of Iowa is where I graduated from. Has a very, very diverse student body. There's a lot of the foreign exchange students come from China and India. There's a lot of Koreans that come here. I actually loved working here at the International Programs Office because I could speak to people in all kinds of different languages. It was one of the best parts about Iowa City was the diversity in languages and skill sets and history. The University of Iowa has actually made an episode of The Simpsons. It's the home of the Iowa Writers Workshop and the International Writing Program, and it was name-checked in a couple of episodes of The Simpsons. Kurt Vonnegut used to live here, and there's actually a bar called Dave's Foxhead on the north side that was open during Prohibition. They were able to keep it rolling, so that's kind of cool. So yeah, that's pretty much all the basics about Iowa City and the University of Iowa, the University of Iowa Hawkeyes. So go Hawks. One of the things you might know about the University of Iowa is that recently their children's hospital was a new children's wing of the hospital was built, and this is where a lot of the cancer patients are placed, and it overlooks Kinnick Stadium. Niall Kinnick was a World War I pilot that was shot down during World War I. He's the only University of Iowa football player to ever win the Heisman Trophy. That's why the stadium's named after him. But it looks over, the children's hospital looks over the football stadium, and during the game, the players from both teams stop and they start waving at all the children, and everyone, the children stop and they wave back at the University of Iowa. This made big news of the country this past season because it is such a brilliant thing to do for these children that most of them, I mean, that's their highlight of their week. So University of Iowa has a dear spot in my heart, and there's a lot of good people here. It's a brilliant university. I encourage everyone who wants a good education to come to the University of Iowa. I actually studied everything under the sun here. Started off in Greek mythology and philosophy, and then moved my way through all of human history and knowledge. Didn't quite learn everything, but I came pretty close, I think. I learned Croatian in a bar. Actually, I learned it in Dave's Foxhead. I learned how to speak the language of Croatian, Serbo-Croatian in a bar. That was a lot of fun. It's actually it's part of the Big Ten network as far as the athletics is concerned. It has a really good following. In fact, the University of Iowa probably has the best tailgating atmosphere of any school in the Big Ten. I would actually put us up against any other school in the Big Ten, if not the entire country, as far as tailgating is concerned. That's how good the tailgating is in Iowa City. It is known as a party school. Maybe less now than that the bars are all 21. It used to be the bars were all 18 to get in, and then they were 19, and then now they're 21 to get into. But another thing about Iowa City is that it's growing rapidly. 10 years ago, there were really no skyscrapers. The tallest buildings were actually dorms. And now the tallest buildings, there's two really taller buildings that just came up, and they're luxury apartments. And that trend seems to be continuing as Iowa City does grow. It has a really good life. In fact, Forbes magazine a couple years ago named it one of the best towns for small businesses. It does have a lot of business-friendly things for it, as far as like a consumer base here, and that consumer base is growing. In fact, Iowa City was known as kind of a hub for economic development in the mid to late 1800s, because this was as far west as the rail lines went was in Iowa City, and so that developed a lot of economic development, because you had to get your goods to Iowa City to ship them, eastward. So Iowa City did have that going for it. The rail lines actually helped establish Iowa City as an economic hub for the state, even after the capital had moved to Des Moines, because the lines didn't quite go that far yet. But yeah, that's the University of Iowa, the Iowa City in Johnson County. I didn't go over everything because I try to keep these things under 15 minutes, just a brief history of the town. And until next time, guys, peace out.